The story begins in the 1890s in London, in a grim and eerie room. We are immediately introduced to a disturbed and dangerous man, William Colcott, a serial killer unlike any other. Around him lie the lifeless bodies of several women. One woman is still alive, tied up and terrified, lying on a table. Beneath that same table is the body of William's dead wife. William isn't just a murderer, he's someone who believes in the dark arts. Obsessed with bringing his wife back to life, he made a pact with evil forces and sacrificed 27 women in the process. Using black magic, he believed that these sacrifices would help him resurrect his beloved. But despite all his horrific acts, his wife remained dead. As the woman on the table regains consciousness, she begins to scream in horror. William grabs a knife and prepares to slit her throat. But just then, the police arrive. The tension explodes as William doesn't stop. He kills the woman right in front of them and even manages to murder one of the officers before finally being captured and beaten into submission. As he's dragged away, his blood-soaked eyes glance one last time at his wife's corpse, disappointed that she's still lifeless. Days later, we see William in prison, guarded heavily. Two officers, George and Philip, escort a priest into his cell. William has been talking to himself, clearly disturbed. Today is the day he faces execution. And not just any execution, it's the first ever trial of the electric chair, brought in from America. In the execution chamber, the governor reads out William's charges, the brutal murders of 28 women. He tries to offer spiritual peace, saying, "May God rest your soul." William simply smiles and replies, "Your God will never have my soul." He had already surrendered it to something much darker. Then comes the moment of reckoning. Guards cover William's face and activate the electric chair. The crowd watches in shock. William doesn't die immediately. He survives the first surge. More electricity is sent through his body until finally, his body gives out. But even in death, something about him feels unfinished. The story then introduces us to two new characters, Frederick Ladbroke, an older man, and his niece, Emma Wicks. Together, they work as post-mortem photographers, capturing images of the dead for official records. They're summoned to the morgue to photograph William's corpse. It's worth noting, Emma's involvement in this work is unusual. In this era, such professions were typically reserved for men. Her presence raises eyebrows, and even at the morgue, a policeman remarks that this is no place for a young woman. Inside, George leads them to William's body. Frederick asks who he was, and George replies, grimly, "He killed 28 women." As Emma sets up the camera and looks through the lens, she suddenly sees William move, just slightly, but enough to startle her. George asks if she's okay. Though shaken, Emma brushes it off, and they leave shortly after. The next day, we find Frederick and Emma at the British Paranormal Society, where Frederick passionately explains a device he's built. He believes that when a person dies, their soul transforms into energy, and that energy can be attracted, detected, and even communicated with. His machine, he claims, can prove this, but the society laughs at him. They mock his machine, saying a simple Ouija board does the job better. Frederick is frustrated. He's spent his life chasing this dream. Emma tries to encourage him, but Frederick feels defeated. He tells her to live a normal life, to get married, and not follow the same lonely path he did. That evening, a mysterious man named Lucian Howe meets Frederick at a bar. Lucian encourages him not to give up. "When your machine is ready, bring it to me," he says. Meanwhile, back at home, Emma continues to quietly work on the machine, refusing to let the dream die. As Emma continues refining the machine, something sinister unfolds inside the prison. A terrified inmate begs Officer George to kill him before the next morning. He claims he's been hearing William's voice, whispering to him from beyond the grave. George dismisses it, thinking it's just fear. But later that night, the inmate's demeanor suddenly shifts. The fear is gone, replaced by eerie calm. Moments later, he hangs himself using his scarf. The next morning, Emma studies the photograph she took of William's corpse. There's something odd in the image. Distortions, as if William is looking back at her. Frederick suspects it might be a double exposure, but when she reprints it, the anomaly remains. This confirms his theory. A spirit is tied to the photo. If true, this could be the proof they need to test the machine. They head back to the prison, asking George about the recent suicide. George reveals that the inmate had claimed to hear William's voice. Strange occurrences are spreading across the prison, and inmates are becoming unstable. George suggests bringing in a priest for protection. During a reading of the Bible, the priest experiences a violent attack by an unseen force. His Bible flies across the room, and he's thrown against the wall. When questioned later, the priest confesses in horror, "I saw the devil." Enter Lucian Howe, a renowned paranormal investigator. Alongside Emma and Frederick, he arrives to examine the prison. While the governor is skeptical, Lucian insists on using Frederick's machine to connect with the spirit world. Emma sets it up and activates it during a controlled test. The result? A chilling demonic voice is captured on the audio device, proof that something is haunting the prison. Lucian is impressed, but warns, "Don't activate the machine again unless I say so." Meanwhile, Frederick grows suspicious that Lucian might take credit for the invention. Emma reassures him, but tension remains. Separately, Lucian requests a personal item of William's from the governor, his wedding ring. When Lucian touches it, he's pulled into a terrifying vision. Flashes of William's death, his wife's corpse, and the ritualistic horror. Back at the prison, Emma begins hearing strange whispers. Suddenly, she's possessed by William, who drags her to the electric chair. Just in time, Frederick rushes in and saves her. That night, the machine turns on by itself, powered by William's spirit, feeding off energy to grow stronger. As the paranormal chaos intensifies, Marie, George's wife, shows up at the prison gates, furious, demanding to see her husband. She hasn't heard from him in days. After much arguing, the guards finally let her in, but something is terribly wrong. William's spirit possesses Marie, and what follows is a shocking bloodbath. She murders George by strangling him, then vomits blood onto Officer Philip, suffocating him to death too. Her rampage continues as she hunts down others inside the prison. Meanwhile, Lucian tells Emma she carries a protective spiritual aura, possibly the reason she has survived so far. But as Marie, under William's control, activates the energy machine, she begins spinning it violently, releasing more and more supernatural energy, feeding William's power. Marie then attacks Frederick. Though wounded, he manages to kill her, but William's grip hasn't loosened yet. Marie's body rises again and lunges at Emma. This time, Emma fights back and kills her again. As Marie mutters dark incantations in an unknown demonic language, Lucian warns everyone, "Don't interfere, let her go." But Marie, now fully controlled by William, chases down the injured priest, strangling him with his own holy locket, leaving yet another victim in her wake. Lucian, now desperate, confronts William's spirit directly. He warns William that he can never truly bring his wife back, because he no longer has a physical body to contain her soul. Furious, William turns on Marie and kills her from within, ending her possession and destroying her body completely. The team regroups. Frederick and Emma realize the only way to defeat William is to reverse the machine's energy flow, draining power from William instead of feeding it to him. But they need a personal item that weakens him, not strengthens. Lucian had tried using William's wedding ring, but it only made the spirit stronger. That's when Emma suggests using the jail cell key, a symbol of his imprisonment and suffering. Lucian agrees it might work. Frederick hooks up the energy machine to the electric chair and sets the trap. Lucian provokes William, daring him to attack. Fueled by rage, William charges. The machine powers up, siphoning his energy, weakening him. At the final moment, Lucian traps William's spirit inside the jail cell key, locking him away for good. The group stands exhausted but relieved. Finally, the prison has been freed from its curse. The governor meets them in the warden's office, thanking each of them for putting an end to the nightmare. "The gates are closed now," he says, metaphorically and literally. He opens the main exit, allowing everyone to finally leave. Days later, Lucian visits Frederick and Emma at their home. He hands them an envelope containing payment for their work, but also brings with him a question. "What's next for you two?" Frederick, who once thought his life's work was meaningless, now feels a strange sense of fulfillment. He replies, "We were thinking about going back to postmortem photography. Something simpler," Emma adds, half smiling. "Something less haunted." Before leaving, Emma asks about the key, the object that now holds William's tormented soul. Lucian explains that he sealed it in a heavy box and buried it within the prison wall, deep behind bricks, never to be found again. No one will ever reach it, he assures them. But as Lucian walks away, there's an unspoken weight in the air. None of them are completely convinced it's over. That night, as Frederick sits alone, he removes the glove from his hand, the one he's kept hidden ever since the night they defeated William. Beneath it, his hand is decaying, dark veins spreading beneath the skin like rot. It's the same hand he used to operate the machine during the final ritual. Was William truly sealed away, or did a part of him escape through the machine?